Before this day ends, before July 5 disappears into history, I want to ask you something that might sting, but it's the truth you need to hear. What have you done today that scares your comfort zone? What have you done that challenges your old self? If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, let me break it to you. Life isn't giving you any more signs. This is the sign. You are not late, but you are lingering. And if you don't move now, you'll keep blaming time while time moves on without you. So before July 5 ends, I dare you to stop scrolling and start evolving. This isn't just another day. It's your reset button. Let's make it count. Underscore, you keep saying, I have so much potential. But what has that potential done for you lately? Has it paid your bills? Has it built your dream? Has it made them respect you? No, because potential without discipline is just a pretty lie you keep telling yourself. We live in a world where people romanticize what could be so much. They forget to become what must be. You keep journaling, planning, dreaming, vision boarding, and yet, day after day, your reality remains unchanged. Why? Because action is louder than ambition. You can't manifest a life you're not willing to work for. Let's make it plain. A girl sits every night thinking, I could be a singer. She records voice notes, but never posts them. She's afraid of judgment, afraid she's not ready, afraid she's not perfect. So what happens? Someone else with half her talent and triple her courage goes viral. Because results don't come to the most talented. They come to the most consistent. You could be the next CEO, the next author, the next motivational voice. But you're so attached to the idea of success, you haven't tasted the discipline it demands. You're in love with potential because it doesn't require pain. It lets you sleep peacefully knowing you could have, should have, might have. But what does that leave you with? Regret in a luxury outfit. Take the example of a woman who says, I know I can get fit. I used to be athletic. But she keeps postponing the gym, keeps ordering takeout, keeps comparing herself to Instagram bodies. Potential becomes her prison. Because every time she fails to act, she confirms the lie that she's not capable, when in fact she's just not committed. A student says, I'm smart, I always get things last minute. So they wait and wait until the deadline crashes down on them like thunder. Suddenly their potential is now a panic attack, a missed opportunity, a GPA drop. Potential becomes the excuse, not the energy. A woman in love says, he has potential. He could be so much more. But months pass. He lies. He cheats. He disappoints. She holds on to the version of him that exists only in her head. That's the trap. Loving potential instead of facing reality. You don't need to fall in love with what could be. You need to build a life on what is. Let's flip the script. Imagine if Serena Williams only admired her natural talent, but never showed up to the studio. Imagine if Priyanka Chopra just admired herself in the mirror instead of conquering global stages. Where would they be? Not on top, not respected, not remembered. Potential is only sexy when it's backed by performance. You want people to notice you? Give them results they can't ignore. Start small, one task, one win, one bold decision, and then another. Your potential is not some magical thing waiting to be discovered. It's a muscle, and if you don't use it, you'll lose it. You've spent enough time fantasizing about the future. Now it's time to build it. Because the truth is, your results are your loudest statement. Not your excuses, not your tears, not your pretty promises. So today, don't just say you're capable, prove it. Don't just believe in your potential, demand results from it. If it still hurts, you're still holding on. Not to them, not to the moment, but to the meaning you gave it. See, pain doesn't stay because it's powerful. It stays because we feed it. Every time you replay that betrayal, that breakup, that harsh word, they're not hurting you anymore. You're hurting you by keeping it alive in your mind. Think about this. Deep inside, she knows she's holding on to someone who's already let go. The pain isn't just his absence. It's her refusal to accept that someone she prioritized didn't value her. She's not mourning the man. She's mourning the version of him she created in her mind. A mother watches her grown daughter drift away. Calls unanswered. Messages ignored. But she keeps saying, she's just busy. She'll come around. And every time she says that, her heart aches. She smiles through the pain, but deep inside, she's holding on to how things used to be. And that's the thing. Memories can chain you harder than the moment ever did. The hurt stays because you're still hoping for a different ending to a story that already closed. A young man gets fired from a job he gave his all to. He wakes up every morning angry, hurt, bitter. Not because the job was perfect, but because he gave loyalty where it wasn't returned. He's not just unemployed, he's emotionally unemployed too. He's holding on to the idea that hard work always pays off. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes life will break you just to rebuild you better. But not if you keep clinging to the rubble. A woman stands in front of the mirror, looking at stretch marks, wrinkles, acne scars. She remembers what she looked like 10 years ago and whispers, I miss her. Every lotion, every filter, every beauty trend, she's chasing her younger self. The pain isn't in her skin, it's in her comparison. She's holding on to a version of beauty the world sold her, forgetting that growth changes everything, even your reflection. And if you don't release who you were, you'll never embrace who you've become. There's a man who was cheated on years ago. He dates, he smiles, he says he's over it. But every time his partner's phone buzzes, he flinches. Every time she takes too long to reply, he spirals. Not because she's done anything wrong, but because he never really let go of the betrayal. He's not in a relationship. His fear is. And until he stops dragging the old pain into the new space, he'll never taste the peace that love can bring. A girl posts a selfie hoping for validation. She gets 10 likes. Another girl posts the same thing, gets 10,000. That comparison stings. Not because she's any less, but because she's holding on to this lie that more likes means more worth. The pain of invisibility, the ache of being overlooked, that comes from attaching your identity to numbers, not values. She's hurting because she's measuring herself by standards that were never meant to define her in the first place. If it still hurts, it's not about the moment. It's about the meaning you attach to it. You're holding on to a version of reality that's expired. You're loving people who've stopped loving you. You're chasing dreams that don't even fit who you are anymore. The pain is the echo, the silence after the storm. But the longer you stand there, waiting for the noise to return, the more deafening it gets inside your soul. You think you've moved on because you don't cry. But baby, silence doesn't always mean healing. Sometimes it means you're screaming internally while the world assumes you're fine. Stop begging for closure, give it to yourself. Because the truth is, some people will never apologize. Some will never explain why they hurt you, why they disappeared, or why they changed. And the longer you wait for them to give you answers, the longer you stay stuck in a story that's already over. Closure isn't a conversation, it's a decision. It's when you say, I don't need your words to free myself. I'll free myself anyway. Imagine a woman who gave her all to a relationship. She was loyal, present, honest. One day, the man simply walked away. No explanation, no goodbye, just silence. Days turn into weeks, and she's checking her phone every morning, praying for a message that says, I'm sorry, here's why I left. But it never comes. And the pain grows, not because he left, but because she gave him the power to decide when her healing begins. She's begging the same person who broke her to come fix her. But the truth is, he's already moved on. The only one still bleeding is her. Closure isn't what they give you, it's what you claim when you finally close the door they left open. A man gets ghosted after a promising job interview. He did everything right. Polished resume, confident pitch. He walked out of that room thinking, this is it, but no call came. No rejection letter. Just silence. And it stung. He kept replaying the interview in his head, dissecting every word, wondering what he did wrong. That emotional paralysis lasted for weeks. But what he didn't realize is that he wasn't grieving the job. He was grieving the lack of acknowledgement. He wanted them to tell him he mattered, that he was almost enough. But why should your worth be confirmed by strangers in suits who couldn't even show you the respect of a response? There's a daughter whose father walked out when she was a child. She grew up wondering, was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Years pass, but the questions remain. She writes letters she never sends. She practices conversations that never happen. She tells herself one day he'll come back and explain. But he doesn't. And the ache turns into anger, and the anger turns into self-doubt. But the day she stops waiting for a man who chose absence over presence is the day she begins to build herself. Not because he gave her peace, but because she decided she was done being defined by someone else's cowardice. A woman gets betrayed by her best friend. A secret shared, a trust broken. And the friend pretends like nothing happened. No apology, no regret, just distance. And it burns. Not just the act, but the denial of it. She wants a confrontation. She wants them to acknowledge the betrayal. But instead she's handed silence. That's when she realizes, I don't need your guilt to validate my pain. I don't need your words to confirm what I already know. The friendship ended the moment the betrayal happened. Now it's up to her to end the emotional attachment to someone who already detached. Think of a woman scrolling through old messages, photos, songs that remind her of someone who left. She keeps looking for signs, keeps trying to read between the lines. She's not healing. She's haunting herself with memories. She wants one last conversation to make it all make sense. But closure isn't in the answers. It's in accepting that sometimes you won't get any. It's choosing your peace over your curiosity. Even in death, closure is complicated. A loved one passes, and you never said goodbye. You never got to fix things. Never got to hear, I love you one last time. And that grief feels unfinished, like an open loop you can't close. But you don't have to wait for the moment that never came. You can choose to honor them by living well. You can let your love be louder than your regrets. Because sometimes closure isn't a door that shuts. It's a window you open to let the pain breathe. and finally leave the room. Your dreams are loud. Why are you whispering? Why are you tiptoeing around your own greatness like it's something to be ashamed of? You weren't born to dim down, shrink, or wait for permission. You were born to disrupt rooms with purpose, to speak your vision so boldly that the world has no choice but to make space for it. There's a girl who writes poems every night. Her words are raw, beautiful, real. But she hides them. She saves them in a secret folder titled Maybe Someday. She fears what people will say. What if they laugh? What if they don't get it? But what if they do? What if one sentence she writes could touch 1,000 hearts? The problem isn't her talent, it's the fear of her own voice. She's whispering because she's been taught to stay soft. But your gift doesn't grow in silence, it expands through exposure. And every time she hides her words, she silences the impact she was born to make. A young man dreams of starting his own business. He watches YouTube videos, reads startup books, takes notes, but never acts. He talks about it only to himself. One day, he says. One day turns into 1 year. His dream becomes background noise while he answers to a job that drains him daily. He's not failing because he lacks ideas. He's failing because he's playing it safe. Fear made him quiet. Society made him obedient. But deep down, his dream is roaring for attention. And unless he starts speaking up, pitching, posting, pushing, he'll watch someone else live out his blueprint. A woman in her 30s wants to change careers. She's tired of the 9 to 5, tired of pretending she's satisfied. But everyone around her says, "You're lucky to have a stable job. Don't rock the boat." So she lowers her voice. She stops talking about her passions. She suppresses the urge to leap. But every morning, her soul screams louder. The pain of staying is louder than the fear of starting over. Yet she whispers her desires because she doesn't want to disappoint others. She's living a script someone else wrote. And her dream, it's choking under the weight of their opinions. There's a teenager who wants to become a dancer, not just dance in a studio. She wants to own the stage. But in her town, people scoff at that. Dance won't pay the bills, they say. So she tells them she's just doing it for fun. But when she moves, her heart speaks louder than words. Her dream isn't a hobby, it's her heartbeat. But she's whispering because she doesn't feel safe to scream. And that's the tragedy. When powerful voices go unheard because of small-minded surroundings, she's not asking for applause. She just wants to be seen, without apology. And when she realizes her movements are prayers, not performances, she'll dance like the whole world needs her rhythm. A man sits alone, writing a book. He's poured his soul into every page. He dreams of publishing, of seeing his name in bookstores. But he's never told anyone. He's afraid they'll laugh, call it silly, or say, "At your age, really?" So he smiles, nods, and says he's just journaling. But that book holds decades of wisdom, stories that could free others from shame. The dream is loud, but the voice, still silent. And every time he doubts himself, another reader misses out on a story that could have saved them. There's a single mom who dreams of becoming a motivational speaker. She's survived abuse, heartbreak, poverty. She's a walking testimony of resilience. But she tells herself, who would listen to me? So she stays behind the scenes, empowering her kids while silencing her own truth. She's not lacking in inspiration. She's drowning in doubt. Her dream doesn't need perfection. It just needs permission. And the moment she stops whispering and starts declaring, every scar will become a sentence that sets someone else free. Before the clock hits midnight, break the pattern. Because if you don't interrupt the cycle, it becomes your lifestyle. The excuses, the procrastination, the toxic relationships, the late night overthinking, the pretending you're okay when you're not, it all becomes your default. Time doesn't wait for your healing, for your ambition, or for your courage. And every day you delay change, the pattern digs deeper into your identity. Patterns don't need your permission to repeat. They just need your silence. There's a girl who keeps falling for emotionally unavailable men. Each time it feels different. Each time she tells herself, this one is better. He texts more. He seems honest. But a few weeks in, the same red flags appear. Inconsistency. Hot and cold behavior. Ghosting when she becomes vulnerable. Men, it's the pattern she refuses to break. She doesn't need another heartbreak to wake her up. She needs a moment of silence where she finally says, I deserve love that doesn't confuse me. A man wakes up every morning swearing that today will be different, that he'll eat better, be more productive, stay off social media, focus on his goals. But by noon, he's scrolling again, procrastinating again, grabbing fast food again. There's a million ways to scroll again, grabbing fast food again, but it's not the food again, the gold again. But by noon, he's scrolling again, grabbing fast food again, the gold again, the soda again. Then by nightfall, he beats himself up, drowning in guilt and saying, tomorrow I'll fix it. That tomorrow has repeated for months. The pattern is comfort in failure. It's the illusion of starting over that keeps him stagnant. Until he realizes that no plan will work until he does. The cycle will keep him enslaved in potential instead of freedom. There's a woman stuck in a job that suffocates her. Every day she drives to the office with a pit in her stomach. She dreams of starting her own business, of doing something meaningful. But she's been in the same position for 5 years, telling herself it's not the right time. Maybe next year. That sentence has become her lullaby. She sleeps beside it, walks with it, hides behind it. The pattern is fear dressed as logic. And the only thing standing between her and the life she craves is the boldness to say, enough. A teenager keeps failing in school, not because he lacks intelligence, but because he's convinced himself he's not smart enough. Teachers have told him otherwise. Friends believe in him. But every time he tries to study, that voice returns. Why bother? You always mess up. So he gives up before he starts. The pattern is self-sabotage, disguised as protection. He'd rather not try than try and fail. But until he breaks the pattern of underestimating himself, he'll keep living in a cage with the key in his own hand. A woman constantly puts herself last. She says yes when she wants to say no. She carries everyone's burdens. She answers the phone even when she's exhausted. She shows up for people who don't check on her. Every time she tries to set boundaries, guilt chokes her. She doesn't want to be called selfish, but the pattern is martyrdom in disguise. And it's killing her slowly. One day, she looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize herself. Not because she's changed, but because she's been disappearing to please everyone else. She doesn't need permission to rest. She needs the courage to protect her energy like it's sacred. A couple keeps fighting over the same issue. They apologize, make up, promise to do better, but nothing changes. The same arguments loop like a broken record. love becomes tension, affection becomes resentment. And yet, they stay. Not because they're happy, but because they're afraid to be alone. The pattern is attachment to dysfunction, comfort in chaos. They think time will fix it. But time doesn't fix what you tolerate. Until one of them says, we can't heal in the same cycle that keeps breaking us, they'll stay dancing with pain in the name of love. You are not running out of time. You are running out of chances to take yourself seriously. Look around. How many more July 5th S will pass before you finally decide to stop existing and start living? How many more mornings will you wake up dreading your own life, all because you're too afraid to speak louder than your fears? You've been dimming your fire just to keep people comfortable in their shadows. But queens don't whisper. Leaders don't beg. And legends are never born from comfort zones. You've been shrinking for people who wouldn't even grow for you. You've been breaking for people who wouldn't even bend for you. And you've been delaying your dreams for a someday that's not promised. The clock isn't just ticking, it's calling. And this time, you don't hit snooze, you rise. Remember, Cinderella didn't wait until midnight to run. She knew that magic had a deadline. And so does your breakthrough. You either move now, or you repeat the year in a different outfit. Different dates. Same patterns. Different people. Same wounds. How many more cycles are you willing to survive instead of conquer? The life you want will not be handed to you. It will be dragged from the jaws of fear. Built from sweat, tears, and silence no one claps for. You don't need another motivational quote. You need to become the one people quote. You need to walk into rooms like God sent you. Speak your dreams like they've already happened. Walk away from anything that makes you question your worth. Because guess what? You can either be liked for who you pretend to be, or respected for who you really are. And one day, they will wish they had supported you when you were small, humble, and hidden. Because when you rise, and you will, they'll say, I always knew she had it in her. But you'll know the truth. They only believed in the result, not in the process. You owe it to the little girl inside you who stayed up at night dreaming of a life bigger than pain. You owe it to your future self who's already standing on the stage, already running the company, already writing the book. She's waiting on you. Not on your fear, not on your delays, not on your excuses. As Muhammad Ali once said, don't count the days. Make the days count. And baby, this day, it counts. Today is not just a date. It is a decision. It is a mirror screaming, if not now, when? This is your now. This is your reset. This is your comeback with no guaranteed moment. Let them wonder where you went. Let them be shocked at how far you rise. Let them choke on the silence you left behind. Because when you stop explaining yourself and start executing, the world takes notes. And if you feel alone in this journey, remember, diamonds are created in pressure, not in peace. Lions don't fear the jungle, they run it. Queens don't ask for the crown, they carry it. So don't wait for midnight. Don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for closure, approval, or validation. Burn the bridge. Back to who you used to be. Be so loud with your purpose that your past can't even hear you anymore. Because before the clock hits midnight, it's not the day that needs to change. It's you.